The spotlight hit me like a freight train, blinding and unrelenting. As I stumbled onto the red carpet at Madison Square Garden, my heart slamming against my ribs harder than the bass thumping from inside. 20 years ago, I'd shattered the one person who ever truly saw me, leaving him in the dust of our small Ohio town without a backward glance, convinced my fear of whispers and sideways stares was worth more than his tears. Now, as the crowd's roar swelled for the man who'd risen from those ashes into a global icon, Jordan Hale's eyes found mine across the chaos, cold and piercing, like I was nothing but a ghost he'd long since exorcised. I froze, the velvet rope digging into my palm, the flashbulbs popping like gunfire in my periphery. Jordan stood at the far end of the carpet, flanked by handlers and screaming fans, his smile a polished mask for the cameras. But that gaze, it stripped me bare, a silent accusation that said, "You don't get to show up now." Sweat beaded on my neck despite the crisp October chill slicing through Manhattan's canyons. I'd come here on a whim, a last-ditch effort to apologize after seeing his face plastered on every billboard from Times Square to my therapist's waiting room. But one look told me apologies were as worthless as the promises I'd broken back when we were just scared kids stealing kisses in the bleachers. The MC's voice boomed over the speakers, introducing Jordan as the night's headliner for the Pride Gala, his voice a velvet rumble that sent a shiver down my spine, unchanged from the boy who'd whispered my name in the dark. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, give it up for Jordan Hale. The applause crashed like waves, and he waved graciously, but his eyes flicked back to me once more, narrowing just enough to twist the knife. I should have turned and run, melted back into the anonymity of the crowd pressing against the barriers, but my feet wouldn't move. This was my fault, all of it, the fame that armored him, the distance that armored me, and facing it head-on felt like the only way to breathe again. As the line inched forward, I replayed that final night in my head, the one that haunted my dreams like a bad remix. Senior year, under the sodium glow of the high school parking lot, Jordan had pressed a mixtape into my hand, his own recordings, raw demos of songs about us, about the world that wanted to grind us into silence. "Promise me you'll listen when you're ready," he'd said, his green eyes wide and trusting, lips still swollen from our hurried goodbye kiss. But the next morning, my father's truck had idled outside, his voice gravelly with unspoken threats. "Don't make me come find you, boy. Folks talk." I deleted the files, tossed the tape into the creek behind the mill, and ghosted him completely, enrolling in community college across the state just to escape the guilt gnawing at my gut. Jordan had texted once, "Why?" and I'd let it go unanswered, burying myself in straight-passing relationships that tasted like ash. Now, at 37, with a string of failed flings and a promotion to creative director at a midtown ad agency that paid the bills but starved the soul, I was the architect of my own isolation. My best friend, Mia, a no-nonsense lesbian who dragged me out of more closets than I cared to count, had spotted Jordan's tour announcement and shoved a ticket in my hand. "Closure, Alex. Or at least a drink to drown the what-ifs." She'd winked, her short-cropped hair dyed electric blue for the occasion, but even she couldn't mask the pity in her eyes. Mia knew the stories, the ones I'd spilled over too many whiskeys at our favorite West Village dive, about the boy who'd made me feel seen before the world taught me to hide. The carpet blurred as I shuffled along, signing waivers for the event photographers, my mind a whirlwind of half-formed apologies. What could I say that wouldn't sound like an excuse? Sorry I chose cowardice over you. Sorry I let small-town bigotry rewrite our story. By the time I reached the VIP lounge entrance, my palms were slick, and the bouncer, a burly guy with a rainbow pin on his lapel, eyed my rumpled blazer skeptically before waving me through. Inside, the air hummed with laughter and clinking glasses, rainbow flags draped like festive garlands, queer icons mingling with influencers in outfits that screamed unapologetic joy. I grabbed a gin and tonic from the bar, the ice clinking like accusations, and scanned the room for an escape route. That's when Mia appeared, looping her arm through mine with a grin that could disarm a bomb. "You look like you saw your ex's ghost." "Oh wait, you did." She squeezed my elbow, her perfume a comforting mix of vanilla and rebellion. We'd met 6 years ago at a support group for late bloomers. the kind where 30-somethings dissected the wreckage of delayed comings out. Mia had her own scars, disowned by her evangelical family after eloping with her wife, Lena, but she'd built a life from the ruins. A podcast on queer resilience, a cozy brownstone in Brooklyn, and a fierce loyalty that made her my chosen family. He's performing in 10. Front row or bust. I shook my head, the gin burning a path to my stomach. I can't. What if he spots you? Good. That's the point. She steered me toward the stage doors, her stride purposeful. You've spent 2 decades running from this. Time to stand still. The auditorium filled with anticipation, seats vibrating under the pre-show playlist of anthems that had soundtracked our hidden youth. Everything from Katie Lang to Troye Sivan. I sank into my chair, the velvet worn soft from countless encores, and tried to focus on the warm-up acts. A drag queen lip-syncing to Chapel Roan with flair that drew whoops from the crowd. A poet reciting verses on intersectional love that left tissues rustling in the dark. But my pulse thrummed with dread, each beat echoing "You did this. You left him." Lights dimmed, and the stage erupted in a cascade of confetti and strobes. Jordan striding out like he owned the night. Black jeans hugging his frame. A silk shirt unbuttoned to mid-chest. Microphone in hand like an extension of his soul. The opening chords of his hit single, Echoes in the Rear View, filled the space, a haunting ballad about betrayal and rebirth that I'd streamed obsessively in secret, never admitting how the lyrics clawed at my chest. You drove away, left me in the dust / now on the storm you can't outrun, trust. His voice soared, rich and ragged, wrapping the audience in its grip, but when his eyes swept the front row, they locked on me again, unwavering, unyielding. I couldn't look away. Jordan poured himself into the performance, sweat glistening under the lights, his body moving with a grace born of pain transmuted into art. Backing dancers swirled around him, their movements a tapestry of fluidity and fire, but it was his raw vulnerability that gutted me. The slight hitch in his breath on the bridge, the way his fingers clenched the mic like it was a lifeline. Midway through, he dropped to his knees at the stage's edge, close enough that I could see the faint scar above his eyebrow. The one from our bike crash sophomore year, when we'd laughed until we cried, bandaging each other in the emergency room, while our parents assumed it was just boys being boys. The song crested, and for a split second, his mask cracked, just a flicker of something raw, like recognition laced with rage. Then he rose, flashing that megawatt smile for the crowd, and launched into the next track, a upbeat banger about defying the odds. Mia leaned in, whispering, "He's a force, isn't he? Bet he hates your guts." Her words were meant to lighten, but they landed like lead. By intermission, my shirt clung to me, damp with nerves, and I bolted for the lobby, splashing water on my face in the bathroom mirror. The reflection staring back was haggard, crow's feet from squinting at screens, stubble shadowing a jaw that used to turn heads. Who are you to him now? A footnote? A villain? Outside, the night air hit like a slap, carrying the distant honk of taxis and the murmur of fans lingering by the exits. I lit a cigarette, bad habit, picked up after my last breakup, and leaned against the brick wall, exhaling smoke that curled like unanswered questions. That's when the side door banged open, spilling golden light and the echo of applause. Jordan emerged, towel around his neck, laughing with his manager, a sharp-dressed woman named Riley who'd been with him since his indie days. They didn't see me at first, huddled in the shadows, but as he turned to light his own smoke, old habits, apparently, his gaze snagged on mine. Riley noticed too, her eyebrows arching. "Friend of yours?" Jordan's laugh died, replaced by a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. He waved her off, "Go ahead, I'll catch up," and sauntered over, each step deliberate, like a predator sizing up prey. Up close, he was taller than I remembered, broader, the boyish softness traded for chiseled lines earned in gyms and green rooms. His scent hit me, cedar and citrus, the same cologne from our prom night, when we ditched the dance for the quarry, slow dancing to stolen radio static. "Alex," he said, voice low, devoid of the stage's warmth. No question mark, just my name like a verdict. I stubbed out the cigarette, fumbling for words. "Jordan, you were incredible. Always were. Lame, so lame, but it was all I had." He tilted his head, studying me with that dissecting stare. What are you doing here? Nostalgia tour? Or did the tabloids finally leak your little secret? The barb stung, sharper than I deserved. I came to say sorry. For everything. Back then, he cut me off with a raised hand, eyes flashing. Don't. Not now. Not like this. But he didn't walk away, just took a drag, the cherry glowing like a warning. We stood there, the city's pulse thrumming around us, two strangers bound by a history neither could rewrite. You broke me, Alex, he said finally, voice cracking just enough to betray the armor. And I let you, because I thought you were worth the pieces. Turns out, I was wrong. I reached out, instinct overriding sense, my fingers brushing his sleeve. Let me make it right. Please. He pulled back, but slowly, like it cost him. You had 20 years. Why now? The question hung, heavy as the humidity clinging to the air. Before I could answer, Riley poked her head out. Jordan, 5 minutes. And he straightened, the celebrity slipping back on like a second skin. Enjoy the show, he murmured, turning away. But as he did, he paused, glancing over his shoulder. And Alex, don't follow me this time. The door clicked shut, leaving me alone with the echo of his words, the night suddenly colder. Inside, the second act beckoned, but I couldn't move. This wasn't closure, it was ignition, a spark to a bonfire I'd long thought extinguished. Mia found me minutes later, towing me back in with a sympathetic eye roll. Well? Spill. I sank into my seat, the stage lights blurring through unshed tears. It's worse than I thought. And better. He still feels it. She squeezed my hand as Jordan retook the stage, launching into a stripped-down acoustic set that peeled back layers of his soul. Songs about fractured first loves, the ache of unspoken truths, the triumph of claiming your voice against a world that tried to mute it. One track in particular gutted me. Abandon All Hope, a slow burner with lyrics that mirrored our wreckage. You left me bleeding on the shore / built your walls, locked the door / now the tide's turned. I'm the sea / drowning echoes of what we could be. His guitar wept under his fingers, and the audience leaned in, mesmerized, but I saw the tells. The way his voice trembled on the high notes, the subtle glance my way during the outro. Was it for me? Or just the ghost I'd become in his narrative? Intermission 2 brought a flood of admirers to the stage's edge, but Jordan waved them off, retreating to the wings. I debated chasing him, but Mia's grip on my arm held firm. Give him space, cowboy. Rome wasn't built in a red carpet night. We wandered to the after-party lounge instead, a glittering affair with floating lanterns and craft cocktails named after queer icons. The Wild Thing, the milkshake. There, amid the swirl of sequins and stolen kisses, I nursed a drink and dodged small talk, my mind replaying every micro-expression from our alley encounter. Then, like fate's cruel joke, Jordan appeared across the room, cornered by a cluster of producers pitching a biopic. He looked exhausted, the post-show glow fading into lines of fatigue around his eyes. Our gazes collided again, and this time, he excused himself, weaving through the crowd with purpose. My stomach knotted as he approached, Mia vanishing tactfully into the throng. Couldn't stay away, huh? His tone was lighter, edged with wry humor, but the hurt lingered like smoke. I owe you more than a smoke break, I admitted, setting my glass down. Can we talk? Really talk? He hesitated, glancing at the exit, then nodded once, sharp, decisive. Not here. My dressing room. Follow if you want, but no promises. We slipped out a side door, down a labyrinth of corridors lit by flickering fluorescents, the distant bass of the after-party fading to a hum. His room was a sanctuary of controlled chaos. Guitar cases stacked like sentinels, a half-eaten charcuterie board on the vanity, mirrors reflecting infinite versions of us, him poised, me unraveling. He poured 2 waters from a mini-fridge, handing me one with a ghost of a smile. No booze. Keeps the voice clean. We sat on the worn leather couch, the space between us vast as the years. I started slow, the words tumbling out in fits, the suffocating weight of my father's homophobic rants, the church youth group's veiled threats, the terror of being the gay kid in a town where difference meant danger. I loved you, Jordan. God, I did. But I was so scared. Scared I'd drag you down with me. His laugh was bitter, hollow. You think I wasn't? My mom found my journal, the one with your name doodled in hearts. She burned it, called me an abomination. But I chose you anyway, chose fighting for us. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, vulnerability cracking the facade. When you vanished, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was like the world confirmed every fear. I'm not worth staying for. Tears pricked my eyes, hot and unbidden. You were always worth it. I was the one who wasn't ready. The confession hung, and for the first time, his stare softened, not forgiveness, but curiosity. So what now? You show up, stir the pot, then what? Fade back to your adman life. I shook my head, voice steady despite the quake inside. I'm out now. Have been for years. Therapy, Mia's crew, they helped me build something real. But you're the missing piece. Let me prove I'm not that kid anymore. He stood, pacing to the window overlooking the garden's loading dock, city lights painting him in stark relief. Silence stretched, thick with possibility, until he turned. One coffee. Tomorrow. Neutral ground. No expectations. It wasn't absolution, but it was a door cracked open. As he opened the door for me, our hands brushed, electric, familiar, and he murmured, "Don't make me regret this, Alex." The next morning dawned crisp and golden, sunlight slanting through my hotel curtains like an invitation. I met Jordan at a quiet cafe in Chelsea, the kind with mismatched mugs and chalkboard menus boasting oat milk lattes. He arrived incognito, baseball cap low, oversized hoodie, sliding into the booth with a cautious nod. "Black coffee for me." We ordered, the mundane ritual a buffer against the undercurrent of tension. Conversation started haltingly, his tour anecdotes, light and self-deprecating. The time a fan threw a bra on stage during Abandon, and I caught it like a football. Mine about agency absurdities, the client who demanded more sparkle for a toothpaste campaign. Laughter came easier than expected, bridges forming over shared absurdities. But as refills arrived, the past crept in. "Remember the quarry?" he asked, stirring sugar absently. "That night we talked about running away to New York. You said we'd make movies. I said music." I nodded, throat tight. I kept the ticket stub from that indie film fest we snuck into. In a box under my bed. His eyes widened, surprise flickering. "You kept something?" The vulnerability in his voice undid me. Everything worth keeping was you. I just didn't know how to hold on. From there, it unspooled, the misunderstandings layered like sediment. He'd assumed my silence meant indifference, not terror. I'd feared his silence post-ghosting meant hatred, not survival. We dissected it gently, no blame, just excavation. "My first single? It was for you," he confessed, voice low. A scream into the void. Went viral because it was real. I reached across the table, tentative, and he didn't pull away, our fingers lacing like puzzle pieces slotting home. But shadows loomed. As we walked the High Line afterward, leaves crunching underfoot, his phone buzzed incessantly. Riley with updates on a scandal brewing. Paparazzi shots of him leaving the gala alone, speculation about his mystery man, me, blurry in the background. "They'll eat this alive," he muttered, tension coiling his shoulders. Coming out was hard enough without dredging up high school drama. Prejudices, old and new. The industry's whispers about his edgy, queer anthems alienating straight fans. My own internalized fears resurfacing like bile. That night, over takeout in his suite, pad thai from a hole in the wall, sprawled on the floor like old times, we confronted the elephant. "What if it's too late?" I asked, chopsticks paused midair. Jordan set his down, green eyes steady. "Then we walk away friends." "But I don't think it is." His hand found mine, and the kiss that followed was soft, exploratory. A question, not a claim. No heat, just the quiet affirmation of we're still here. Weeks blurred into a tentative rhythm, stolen mornings before his rehearsals, late night calls dissecting lyrics and layouts. Mia met him over brunch, her interrogation fierce but fond. "Heard him again, and I'll key your tour bus," earning a genuine laugh from Jordan, who dubbed her the guard dog. Friendships wove in. His bandmate Theo, a trans non-binary violinist with stories of stage fright turned symphony, and Lena, Mia's wife, a chef whose vegan feasts became our ritual. Yet conflict simmered. A tabloid drop, the abandoned lover angle, twisting our history into clickbait, ignited fury. Jordan lashed out during a sound check I attended, storming off stage mid-note. This is what you bring. Circus. I followed him to the green room, heart pounding. Fight me, not the story. We're in this. He whirled, eyes blazing. Easy for you to say. You're not the one whose career hinges on authenticity without the baggage. The argument escalated, voices echoing down halls. Accusations of timing. Why now, when I'm finally whole? Fears of repetition. What if you run again? It peaked with him shoving a script across the table. His biopic, the role of the ex, open, but scripted as a villain. You want redemption? Earn it off-screen first. I left, slamming the door, the city a blur of rejection. Mia found me at our dive, drowning in whiskey. He scared Alex. Fame's a cage. You're the key he dropped. Reconciliation came circuitous. A rain-soaked voicemail from Jordan, raw and rain-muffled, admitting, I pushed because I care too much to lose again. We met at the Quarry's Echo in Central Park, a man-made stand-in, but symbolic. Soaked to the skin, we talked through the storm, prejudices laid bare. His label's pressure to tone down the gay, my family's radio silence since my coming-out email. They disowned me last year, I revealed. Called it a phase. He pulled me close, rain mingling with tears. Then we're both orphans. Let's build our own world. The climax unfolded at the Grammys after-party. Months later, Jordan up for Album of the Year, me as +1, Tux's tailored sharp. Whispers followed us, but we moved as a unit, hands clasped defiantly. Midway through, his ex-publicist cornered him, slurring slights. This rebound act? It'll tank you. Jordan froze, old wounds reopening. But I stepped in, voice calm, steel-edged. He's not rebounding. He's rising. And if you can't see that, step aside. The confrontation spilled public, phones capturing the standoff, but Jordan defused it with grace, pulling me on stage for his acceptance speech. Microphone in hand, voice steady, he said, this is for the boys who loved in secret, who lost and found their way back. Alex, you were my muse, my mirror, my mistake, and now my future. The crowd erupted, but his eyes on me said it all. Forgiveness, not as gift, but earned. In the quiet after, back in his Brooklyn loft. Ours now, Lisa's merging like lives. We curled on the couch, his head on my shoulder, a new demo playing soft. No more abandoning, he whispered. I kissed his temple. No more ghosts. Love, rebuilt from ruins, fragile but fierce, a testament to the heart's stubborn refusal to forget. The first real test came unannounced, a week after the Grammys, when Jordan's mother materialized on his doorstep like a specter from Ohio's flatlands. I'd answered the buzzer, expecting a delivery, only to face Evelyn Hale, steel-gray hair in a severe bun, lips pursed in perpetual judgment, clutching a battered suitcase as if fleeing Judgment Day herself. Where's my son? She demanded, eyes raking me like I was the devil's emissary. Jordan appeared behind me, towel drying his hair post-shower, face draining of color. Mom? What how? She barreled past, dropping her bag with a thud that echoed her resolve. Your father's gone. Heart attack. And after the papers, the calls. I had to see for myself if you'd thrown everything away for this. The word hung, laced with venom, her gaze flicking to our joined hands. Jordan stiffened, the boy I'd abandoned resurfacing in his tense jaw. This is Alex. My partner. And Dad. I'm sorry. But sorrow warred with resentment. Evelyn had chosen silence over support when he'd come out at 18, mailing checks but no cards, her love conditional as a loan. I retreated to the kitchen, brewing tea. Chamomile, her weakness from stories he'd shared, giving them space. Fragments drifted, her accusations of lifestyle choices poisoning his career, his defenses laced with exhaustion. I built this without you, Mom. Without Dad's shadow. When she emerged, red-eyed, I offered the mug. She took it, fingers trembling. You're the one from high school. The lever. It wasn't a question. Jordan had told her. Then, purged the poison. Yes, ma'am. And I'm staying this time. Dinner was a minefield. Takeout tie on the coffee table, chopsticks clacking like Morse code. Evelyn probed my job ads. Like selling lies. Our plans, no ring, no stability. The prejudices bubbling from her Baptist roots. It's not natural, Jordan. The Bible. He cut in, voice rising. The Bible also says love your neighbor. Where was that when I needed it? The argument crested, her tears flowing freely. I was scared for you. For us all. In the wreckage, a fragile truce. She'd stay the week, see the life he'd built. Mia and Lena swooped in for reinforcement, turning the loft into a queer salon. Board games, Lena's killer lasagna, stories swapped like ammunition. Evelyn thawed incrementally, laughing at Mia's deadpan jokes, asking Theo about violin strings over coffee. But tension simmered. One night, post-bedtime story for the neighbor's kid, Jordan volunteered at a youth center. She cornered me in the hall. He idolized you once. Don't make him regret it. Her eyes, so like his, held no warmth, but a plea. I won't, I vowed. We're equals now. Jordan's vulnerability peaked during her visit's end, a late-night confession on the fire escape, city lights winking below. Seeing her here, it drags up Dad's ghost, the one who beat the gay out of me with belts and Bible verses. I held him as sobs racked his frame, the celebrity stripped to the survivor. You're safe now. With me, with us. His gratitude came in whispers, a slow kiss under the stars, tender, affirming, the kind that mends fractures. Post-Evelyn, our bond deepened, but fame's underbelly gnawed. A tour loomed. Europe, 3 months, and separation anxiety crept in like fog. What if distance rewrites us? He fretted during packing, folding teas with manic precision. I countered with plans, weekly video dates, my joining for the London leg. Friends bolstered, Theo scripting survival kits of playlists and inside jokes, Mia hosting Alex appreciation nights to combat loneliness. Launch night at JFK was chaos, fans chanting, security herding, but Jordan pulled me aside pre-boarding, slipping a chain into my palm, a silver pendant, engraved echoes end here. My anchor, tears blurred as I fastened it. Come back whole. His flight departed under rainy skies, a metaphor too on the nose. Solitude hit hard. The loft echoed with his absence, my bed half empty. Work blurred, pitching campaigns on queer joy for a brand too timid to air them, and nights dissolved into Mia's couch, dissecting fears. He's touring the world. You're conquering your own, she'd say, pouring wine. But misunderstandings brewed. A grainy photo surfaced, Jordan arm in arm with a French model at a Paris afterparty. Tabloids screamed rebound romance. Fans divided, some shipping, others sleuthing my identity. Panic clawed. I fired off a text, saw the pic. Okay, his reply delayed by jet lag. Publicity stunt. Miss you. Relief flooded, but doubt lingered, a seed of old insecurities. When he called from Berlin, voice husky from back-to-back shows, I unloaded. It hurts seeing that. Feels like high school echoes. He sighed, static crackling. I get it. But I'm yours, stunts and all. Trust the man, not the myth. The call mended, but prejudice struck closer. My agency's CEO, a Silver Fox conservative, summoned me post-pitch. Heard about your personal life. Hill's a risk, lawsuits, boycotts from Heartland clients. His implication clear. Choose career or closet. Fury boiled. I quit on the spot, words sharp. My life's no risk. Your bigotry is. Mia celebrated with champagne. Job offers flooded. Queer-led firms hungry for my vision. Jordan's mid-tour surprise, flying me to Amsterdam for a canal cruise. Tulips blooming defiant. Rekindled fire. We wandered hand in hand, ignoring stares, sharing stroopwafels and secrets. Quitting? Bold, he teased, but pride shone. Like you taught me, no more hiding. That night, in a canal house B&B, we talked futures, adopting, maybe, or fostering queer youth. A joint project, his music scoring my film ideas. Return to New York brought climax. His tour finale at the Garden, full circle. Backstage, pre-show jitters hit. He paced, doubting the setlist's vulnerability. What if they hear the cracks? I cupped his face. That's the beauty. Cracks let the light in. Front row with Mia and crew, I watched him command, our pendant glinting under lights, a talisman. Post-encore, confetti raining. He dragged me on stage for the bow, crowd roaring approval. But drama peaked. A heckler from the shadows, some bigot with a sign repent, sinner, lunged, security tackling. Jordan froze mid-wave. I shielded him instinctively, heart thundering. Not tonight, I growled, as cops hauled the guy away. In the wings, he trembled. It never ends, does it? I held him tight. It ends when we say, together. The incident trended, but so did support. Fans flooding socials with love wins hail, allies amplifying. Evelyn even texted, proud. Stay safe. Healing rippled. In the afterglow, our life solidified. Co-writing sessions birthing an album, therapy tandem to unpack residues. Love, once abandoned, now anchored, deep, dramatic, defiantly ours. Summer unfurled in sticky waves, our rhythms syncing like a well-rehearsed duet, but autumn whispered warnings. Jordan's label pushed a collab with a straight pop star, crossover appeal. They cooed, igniting ethical fires. It's compromise, not sellout. Riley argued over brunch in Soho, her tablet aglow with charts. Jordan wavered, ambition clashing with authenticity. What if it dilutes me? He confided later, sprawled on our balcony, skyline a jagged promise. I advocated truth. Your voice thrives raw. Don't sand the edges. But doubt festered. Rehearsals with the collaborator, a charming bro named Tyler, bred unease. Late nights. Inside jokes via Instagram stories. Mia clocked it first, over gelato in the village. Jealousy's a thief, Alex. Talk before it steals. I did, post-rehearsal, in a dimly lit ramen spot. Tyler's cool, but you're glowing different. Jordan's chopsticks paused. It's fun, light. Not like us. But his defensiveness stung, a chink in trust. Misunderstanding snowballed. A leaked clip of them harmonizing, bodies close, sparked rumors. Fans dissected. Is Hale bicurious? Prejudices flaring in comment threads. I scrolled obsessively, old abandonment fears resurrecting. Am I the placeholder? Confrontation brewed over dinner. Steak frites at a bistro, tension thick as the au jus. This collab's a mistake, I blurted. He bristled. It's opportunity. You're projecting your insecurities. Words escalated. Me accusing erasure, him defending agency. You left once. Now you clip my wings. The slap of truth silenced me. He stormed out, leaving bills unpaid, rain lashing the windows. Mia mediated via group chat. Brief. Apologize first. I did. Dawn text. Sorry for the cage. Love you free. His reply. Walk in the park? Under dripping oaks in Prospect, we unpacked. My fear rooted in past flight. His in industry traps that demanded straight washing. Tyler's straight edge straight. No threat. Laughter broke ice. We vowed check-ins, boundaries. The collab proceeded, but tweaked. Jordan insisting on queer-coded lyrics. Tyler on board after a frank talk. Friendship fortified. Theo hosted a collab cleanse jam session, strings wailing catharsis. Lena baking empathy pies. Evelyn visited, bearing apologies baked into apple crisp. I was wrong about choices. Her presence a bridge to forgiveness. Climax crested at the collab's release party, a rooftop bash in Midtown, stars competing with strobes. Tyler toasted Jordan effusively, arms slung casual, innocent, but optics lethal. A producer sidled up, slurring, Hale's glow up? That ex of his dragging him down. Ears burning, I intervened, voice low thunder. Alex built him up. Try keeping up. Jordan overheard, pride flashing, but later, in a quiet corner, vulnerability cracked. Those whispers, they echoed Dad's voice. I pulled him close, amid the whirl. We're louder. The night peaked with an impromptu duet. Our song, unscripted, crowd enwrapped, doubts dissolving in harmony. Winter wrapped us gentle, holidays a mosaic. Mia's Hanukkah potluck, Jordan's Yule log fiasco, burnt, but beloved, Evelyn's tentative Thanksgiving. Love deepened, layers peeling to core truths. But spring stirred storms, a biopic offer, Mia's consultant, dredging our history for Hollywood gloss. They want drama, Jordan said, script in hand, face stormy. You as the villain, moody, closeted jerk. Rage boiled. It caricatured my growth, our pain. This exploits us. Label urged yes, Oscar bait, but integrity prevailed. We rewrote, pitching authenticity, flawed heroes, not tropes. Pushback came fierce, execs decrying too gay, too real. Jordan's stand, my story, my terms, risked deals, but allies rallied. Theo leaked teasers, fans petitioned. Resolution, indie studio greenlit, us as producers. Summer's end brought peak tension. Premiere night, red carpet redux, Evelyn on arm. Flashbulbs popped, questions probed, reunited lovers? But we deflected with grace. Inside, the film unspooled, our youth raw, redemptive arc earned. Post-screening Q&A, Jordan teared up. This is us, unbroken. Applause thundered. In the lobby, a fan approached. Young, queer, teary. You gave me hope. Impact rippled. Through it, character arcs crested. My from fear to fierce, his from fragile to fortified. Love, battle-tested, bloomed eternal. As leaves turned fiery, so did our resolve, but fate tested with a curveball. Jordan's vocal nodes, strained from tours, demanding surgery and silence. 3 months voiceless, he rasped in the doctor's office, Brooklyn brownstones blurring past the window. Fear gripped, his identity tethered to song, mine to his melody. We'll adapt, I said, squeezing his hand, but inside, panic swirled. What if silence silences us? Recovery was intimate war. Him bedbound, me juggling freelance gigs and bedside vigils. Mia organized quiet nights, charades, subtitled films, Lena's silent auctions for charity. Theo brought instruments, teaching Jordan conducting, maestro without mic. Evelyn flew in, reading aloud from his childhood favorites, her voice a bomb she'd once withheld. Vulnerability peaked in enforced quiet. Notes passed like love letters, his scrawled miss my voice in your ear, mine yours echoes in my heart. Misunderstandings arose trivial, misread post its sparking pouts, but dissolved in laughter, sign language evolving our lexicon. Prejudices surface subtle, a nurse's pitying glance, poor thing, can't even talk, met with Jordan's defiant thumbs up. Climax, a fan letter pile up, read aloud by me, stories of solace in his songs. Tears flowed. He grabbed pad. Writing this heals me. Post-op, first croak. I love you, shattered us into joy. Fall's hush birth creation. Voiceless, he composed via app, melodies humming in hums. I scripted visuals, our collab a silent film score, poignant, profound. Winter whispered renewal, clear voice returning, first notes in our loft a symphony. Holidays hummed harmony, family forged. Spring surged with opportunity, his album drop, nodes narrative woven in, silence as strength. Launch party pulsed. On stage, dedicating to the quiet that spoke loudest, you, Alex. But drama lurked. A rival producer, envious of our indie success, leaked Dr. Docs, claiming Jordan's rise fueled by scandalous X. Smears flew. Toxic reunion? Fans fractured, dark corners spewing hate. Rage unified. We lawyered up, countersuing for defamation. Mia's podcast dissected, exposing grift. Theo's viral violin rebuttal trended. Confrontation at an industry mixer. Rival cornered, smug. Jordan's voice steel. Our story's ours. Yours is fiction. Backlash boomeranged, support surging. Resolution, settlement, donation to queer youth. Victory bittersweet. In aftermath, growth gleamed. Resilience refined. Love labyrinth proof. Summer solstice sealed. Rooftop vow. Not wedding, but commitment. Rings simple silver. Mia officiated impromptu. Stars witnesses. To echoes embraced. Through tempests, we thrived. Deeper, unbreakable. Ebbed into equilibrium. But autumn's amber hid thorns. My past resurfaced. A letter from Ohio. My brother, estranged. Wedding invite laced with ultimatum. Come alone, or don't. Family fissures, once cauterized, tore open. Jordan read it over coffee, brow furrowed. Go. Show them the man you are. But fear festered. Dad's shadow, slurs seared in memory. Road trip south, him shotgun, support, not savior. Highway hummed history. We detoured quarries, reclaiming ghosts. Arrival, childhood home, paint peeling like pride. Brother greeted cool. Mark, taller, wearier. Wife tentative, kids wide-eyed. Dinner tense. Dad at head. Silent thunder. Mom fluttering platters. Probes came post-grace. Heard about your friend. Jordan's hand under table anchored. Partner. Alex loves fiercely. Dad scoff. Bible says, I interjected, voice steady. It says love endures. Jordan's my endurance. Storm broke. Yells of abomination, tears of tradition. Jordan defended calm. Your son's happy. Isn't that the miracle? Exodus abrupt. Midnight drive, rain sheeting. Jordan's quiet. You okay? I wasn't, grief gushing. They chose hate. His hold healed. We choose us. Back north, Mia hosted decompression, hot toddies, horror flicks. Theo composed requiem for lost kin. Lena cooked comfort. Growth germinated. Therapy deepened. Boundaries drawn. Climax crested holiday. Dad's call, gruff apology, saw your film. Proud, son. Bridge half built, tentative. Winter wove warmth. Jordan's charity gala. Me emceeing, spotlight shared. But sabotage struck. Ex-collaborator Tyler, bitter over snub, doxed chords. Protesters at venue, signs venomous. Chaos. Chants outside, guests fleeing. Jordan paled backstage. Not again. I rallied security, addressed crowd via livestream. Hate has no harmony. Join the song. Allies amplified, counter-protests swelled, rainbows overwhelming rage. Inside, show proceeded defiant. Jordan said a sermon, voice soaring over shadows. Post-curtain, embrace electric, you led. Partnership pinnacle. Spring bloomed bold. Joint venture, Queer Arts Foundation, funding stories untold. Launch fundraiser pulsed purpose. Evelyn keynote, voice quavering pride. Misunderstanding minor. Tabloid twist on Tyler's takedown. Hale's lover starts brawl? Cleared quick, but lesson. Truth trumps noise. Summer's zenith. European jaunt. Paris, his roots revisited. Canal walks, Eiffel kisses, love languid lush. Through trials, transformation. From abandoned to architects, our narrative etched eternal. Final flourish framed in fall's frame. Jordan's memoir deal, echoes unsilenced. Meet Ghost Ghost, editor, not specter. Pages poured pain and poetry, our arc anchor. But publisher push. Amp the angst, abandonment as epic betrayal. Jordan resisted. It's redemption, not revenge. Conflict crested boardroom. Execs demanding drafts diluted, us united, no. Walkout warranted, indie press embraced. Launch loomed, nerves knotted, reading at Strand, fans filling aisles. Pre-event, panic pinched. What if they hate the happy? I countered, they'll love the honest. Spotlit, voice velvet, he read our rift. Raw, revelatory. Applause avalanche. Q&A queried. Alex, thoughts? Mike passed. I spoke soul. He saved me from myself. Twice. But pinnacle pierced. Post-signing, young fan. Teen, trembling. Whispered. Your story. It let me come out. Jordan teared. I hugged the kid. Cycle complete. Winter's whisper wound down. Holidays hybrid. Evelyn's turkey. Mia's lax. Mark's video call. Thought tentative. New Year's Eve. Loft aglow. Countdown kiss. Confetti are confetti. Climax coda. Surprise proposal. Jordan. Knee bent beachside Hamptons. Ring ripple and surf. Marry the mess? Tears title. Yes. Wedding whirlwind. June. Backyard Brooklyn. Queers quilted. Mia best woman. Theo strings. Lena feast. Vows voiced volumes. From abandonment to always. Post-honeymoon haze. Italy idol. Gelato gilded. Life layered legacy. Foundation flourishing. Album accolades. Biopic buzz. Yet denouement delicate. Prejudices persist. Stray slurs. Systemic snubs. But surmounted together. Friendships fortified. Family fractal but fond. In twilight talks, Jordan muses. We stared at pasts. Now we author futures. I smile. Pendant. Echoes end here. Love's drama. Decoded. Not despair, but dawn. Gay, gripping, gloriously ours.